Come on, record. Hit record. It's thinking.
It says record on my end.
All right. It's not saying record yet, so I want to trim it if it's not ready.
Mine shows that you're recording.
Yeah,
oh, really? Here. Mine shows that it's spinning. Okay. All right. Hey, we're live at the L. Hervis Peak Transportation Center once again, and we're here because we're in the middle of a virtual car show at MATCcarshow.com. It's the first virtual car show we've ever had, and we obviously went virtual because we can't all be hanging out together at the moment. So in this segment, we are going to be talking with one of our faculty members, Scott Fissler, who if you saw the previous video saw earlier, and also Brad Rykoff of West Bend Dyno. And in this segment, I just want to discuss a little bit with you, how could we have a car show and, with this cool building and everything else. Most all of it had to do with the school getting a large grant. And the grant program we call Rev Up. And it was seeded originally by a gentleman by the name of Tom Hervis, who's the owner of Peak. And that's why you see a lot of Peak stuff around. And he challenged the industry to make a difference in the urban area of Milwaukee. So we have facilities at Mequon and Oak Creek, which are still in our district, but nothing downtown for the students that maybe it'd be more convenient for them to work downtown and come downtown to school rather. And so he also wanted to get the word out that these are really good careers in automotive, whether it's automotive tech or diesel tech or body or even aviation we have in truck driving, just to get the word out that these are really good careers and they're family supporting careers. So RevUp was created through initial donation by Mr. Hervis, and then he challenged the industry to raise money. And he gave $1 million up front, and he challenged the industry to raise additional money that he would match dollar for dollar. And so that's really cool. And we're still in the middle of the campaign. We're getting towards the end, but you can still support it if you'd like. And one of the things that comes out of it is a program that Scott created called the Hot Rod Crew. But before we tell you about that, we wanted to make sure our students found out about our program, and it's been really successful. Our numbers have grown, but also we want to make sure that they complete. So it's not good enough to start. It's always, it's more important that they complete with the skills they need to get a family supporting job. That's something that Mr. Hervis always told me. He said, it's not good enough to start, Steve. It's not good enough to start. They have to complete and they have to get a job. And those jobs are right here in our community, which is great, at either a franchise dealership or a service center. So in order to help our students complete, we have skills coaches, retention coaches. We also have tutors that are specific to automotive. Now, normally in a college setting, we wouldn't have that if it wasn't for the grant. Because if you struggled in automotive electric on this Buick Encore that's next to me, you couldn't go to the tutoring center and say, can you help me with wiring diagrams? So we had to bring in specialists. So that's part of how we help our students complete. The other thing is getting them engaged. And that's a program that Scott started. And Scott, would you like to tell them a little bit about the Peak Hot Rod Crew?
Sure. Thank you, Steve. We have one afternoon a week that we gather and have an open shop where students can come in and work on their own cars and expand what they've learned in the classroom and working on the shop cars onto their own projects so that they see more relevance as to what this career can mean to them as far as saving money and doing things and giving them confidence, and not just working on the school cars, right? And it's become very popular with the students, and they it's with the support of the other instructors in our program. We've actually grown it pretty large as far as a one night a week deal. And what's happened also, which is a byproduct of it, is a lot of employers that started coming down and mentoring with us on those afternoons. Mr. Young one of our instructor helpers and Mr. Schwid, they come every week because it's gotten so big and there's so many students. We want to make sure they get enough attention and help. And then now the employers from around our area have started coming as well and engaging and working with the students. And it's really been a cool thing to help the engagement, like you were mentioning earlier, where the students see a little bit more relevance to the career personally within their family. You know, but they start becoming the car guy in their family, and people start. It's better to have the engagement along with the support of your home base. You know, and so it's been very very cool that way. And West Bend Dino has been a huge part of this engagement process as well. I know Brad's worked with the high schools for many years and now worked with us, and it's just been a huge step up on the engagement part to be able to create the links between what the dry schoolroom type of theory of automotive is and the actual make your hair stand up on end results of the skills that they're gaining with the industry that Brad represents. So.
Hey, with that, Brad, first of all, thanks for everything you do. I know that we've had field trips to your business. But if you don't mind, you've also really, really helped us on the recruiting. We have the last couple of years we've been at the Greater Milwaukee Auto Show, or the Milwaukee International Car and Truck Show, as they call it now, with you in a display, and you've done so much for us. Could you tell us a little bit about the last couple of years and what you've done to give our students an experience that most of them were freaked out that they had the opportunity to do?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Steve. One of the things that growing up, for having a love of automobiles, I always thought it would be neat to do the things that we're able to do now that I have a business in the aftermarket automotive industry. So allowing these kids to see that there's more than just oil changes and brake repair, that there's also an aftermarket side, and there's so many things involved in the aftermarket side. From there's office jobs, there's designing jobs, there's sales jobs. There's so many things that we like to let the kids know that, hey, it's not just the basics. There is fun stuff too. And we work on race cars, we work on pro touring cars, and these students get to see a little more exciting side of the automotive industry, you know, versus just your basic nuts and bolts. I like bringing in the students and showing them things that we can test, do a little research and development. We haven't done this with your students yet, but we brought the students in and we did some spark plug testing. We brought in E3 spark plugs, and they actually showed the students all the ins and outs of spark plugs, and we tested them on different engines. We tested to all types of different parts and brought in fuel injection companies, different Edelbrock for intake manifolds and superchargers, and the kids get a great knowledge of how the stuff works, and the skills they learn is just the gateway to all the stuff that's out there. So,
well, what about specifically the auto show? I want to know how you convince a customer to bring their brand new one Corvette the one time, and I can't remember what the other car was, brand new car, one of them was a Camaro, I think, and say, hey, by the way, we're going to put a new supercharger in it, but we're going to let the students do it. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've done that a few years in a row now, and it's we'll give the customer a little bit of a deal, and we talk to the manufacturer, and we'll get them a deal on purchasing the supercharger. Have the students being able to put a supercharger on a brand new Corvette is something that, man, I would have loved to have done at their age. So we talk to the customer, let them know we're going to give them a little bit of a deal, and that we'll go back over everything and we'll test it at our facility. And I guess we have such a really good relationship with our customers, and they trust us. A lot of the customers we have are repeat customers that every few years they buy a new car and they want to do something else to it. So we gained a lot of trust that way, and then be able to pass that on and allow the students to learn from it was definitely a bonus for us.
So just to explain, I'm new to this virtual meeting stuff for car shows. I should have had something ready with some photos that we could have shared, but it's pretty cool. Our students were all excited. They got to go through, and with Chris, I believe it is, one of the techs at West Bend Dyno, laid out the book with pictures on it. And hey, that's pretty cool, by the way. Every time a car goes by, it cuts to you, Scott. So
oh, no, sorry.
no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But it was really, really neat that our students got to go through and they got to do something that was pretty, like you said, was exciting. I mean, when else can you? I think the Corvette was a 2019 Stingray, was it? I think, and brand new, and they would have never been able to. The school has some nice cars, but we don't have that nice of cars. And they got to put a supercharger on that, and it was super, super fun. And the fact that you and all your staff have always been really good to us. And by the way, if you're watching this, Brad has donated a lot of the prizes that we're going to give away to the category winners and some of the random prize as well. So, we really appreciate what you do. And if you want to give a little plug, I know this has been shared. I know that we've been sharing this all over the country, this show. So if you want to give a little West Bend Dino plug, now's the time to do it.
we're good.
No, come on, tell us where you're at least.
We're up here north of West Bend, about 10 minutes northeast of the city. We're out in the country. We have a 10,500 square foot facility. We got 2 chassis dynos. We got 8 employees, 5 different lifts. We have a fab department. We have a guy that specializes in fuel injection, another guy that specializes in carburetors. We see a lot of old muscle cars in the summer. Kind of a dying art for people to work on old muscle cars, so we see quite a few. We're able to get them most of the time running better than they were, than off the factory floor. So that's kind of exciting for the owners. We get quite a bit going on here in the summertime. So definitely.
Well, and I got to thank you, Brad, because we've had several trips up there with our students, and that is huge for the model that we're creating, that Mr. Hervis has helped us try to create here, is the engagement part, and that is over the top for the students that are helps them get so engaged after they've experienced your shop, and you guys you shut your shop down for the day when we come up, and it's so impressive to them, and they can't stop talking about it when they come back, and it's really made like a complete difference in some of our students' lives having that experience at the car show and up at your shop. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully we can continue because we got a lot more ideas.
Yes.
That's excellent. And thanks to both of you. And if you haven't, Brad's car is on the site, so you can search it out. What kind of car is it, Brad? I don't even remember.
That's a 1980 Trans Am. It's a car that we transitioned through the years at the shop here. Use a lot of products that we sell and test them on it. I originally bought the car in high school with my stepfather. We started years ago, and then it slowly transitioned into a pro touring car that we run around at different autocrosses and road course events.
Cool.
It's a fun car.
So very cool. That was a bus that just went by.
Yeah,
so
sorry about that.
Metro bus. But anyway, hey, thanks a lot, Brad. We really appreciate you. And really all of we have at the Hot Rod Crew, we've had multiple independent service centers. We've had, the franchise dealer people there. And I don't know if Scott had mentioned this, but many of our students are hired right off that floor. So perfect. And
well, that is part of the Hot Rod Crew thing, is the employers hanging out with us. They've also, been hiring them right out of the school. And that's a big thing for the confidence of the students too. They're first into this 1-year program and they don't know a whole lot, but having the employers with us on these hot rod sessions gives the students the confidence to approach service managers and dealer principals that have showed up, and takes some of that and builds their confidence hugely during those sessions when they attend.
And then finally, I just want to say, one of the reasons, we do a car show, and I know that Dan and Scott had talked about the car show history with us. This is our third, is that, we want to get our students engaged, and we had some of our students. It was unfortunate this year because the live version, they're parking cars for us. They're doing the judging. They're doing all kinds of things. But we want to keep our students engaged. And if we don't have young people coming up, taking over for us old folks, who's going to have them, they're not going to be interested in our cars. So, we want to make sure we get a whole new group of students and young people. And our students aren't just 18. We have students from 18 and, I would say on average we're mid-20s, but we've had students of all ages come through our program. So it's, when we say kids, we mean students. So we kind of mess up there a little bit. But anyway, thanks a lot, Scott, and thanks, Brad, for everything that both of you do. So really appreciate it. And, thanks for doing this segment with us.
You bet, man.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for all you do. Thanks, Brad.
Take
Yep,
care.
thanks for having me on.
Yep.